Hello, we're our Lives channel. Today we will learn about the shocking turn of events surrounding Holly Jonas and her devastating decision to leave Salem behind. The young woman finds herself at a complete breaking point after experiencing what might be the most humiliating and emotionally crushing series of events in her entire life. From a drunken disaster at the Salem University dormitory to accidentally destroying Johnny DiMera's dreams of fatherhood, Holly's world has completely collapsed around her, leaving her with no choice but to flee to Paris to seek comfort with her mother, Nicole Walker. The dorm fire catastrophe. The nightmare began when Holly made the catastrophic mistake of getting intoxicated and nearly burning down the entire Salem University dormitory building. This shocking incident left Holly completely mortified and facing serious consequences from university officials. The embarrassment of this public disaster was overwhelming for the young woman, who had already been struggling with her complicated relationship with Tate Black and the constant interference from her romantic rival, Sophia Choi. The fire incident became the talk of Salem University, with students gossiping about Holly's reckless behavior and questioning her judgment. Holly could barely show her face on campus without feeling the weight of judgment from her peers, making her daily life at the university absolutely unbearable. The shame and humiliation from this event alone would have been enough to send anyone running from town. But unfortunately for Holly, this was only the beginning of her troubles. The explicit photo scandal. As if the dormitory fire wasn't devastating enough, Holly discovered something even more shocking and personally violating that pushed her completely over the edge. She learned that explicit and inappropriate photographs of herself had somehow been sent via text message to Johnny DiMera, who was in the middle of trying to adopt baby Tesoro with his wife Chanel Dupree. These intimate photos completely destroyed Johnny's chances of successfully completing the adoption process, as the adoption agency would obviously question the character and judgment of anyone receiving such inappropriate content. Holly was absolutely horrified to discover that she was apparently responsible for ruining a couple's dream of becoming parents to this precious child. The guilt and shame Holly felt was absolutely crushing, knowing that her actions had such far-reaching and devastating consequences for Johnny and Chanel's future family plans. What Holly didn't realize, however, was that she was completely innocent of this terrible act. Sophia's sinister manipulation. The truth behind the explicit photo scandal reveals a much darker and more twisted story than anyone in Salem currently realizes. Sophia Choi, the manipulative teen mother who has been obsessed with Tate Black for months, was actually the mastermind behind the entire scheme. Sophia orchestrated this cruel plan to frame Holly and destroy her reputation in order to drive a permanent wedge between Holly and Tate. Sophia's obsession with Tate has driven her to increasingly desperate and unethical tactics to keep him for herself. She didn't actually send photos to Johnny with malicious intent toward the adoption. Rather, this was collateral damage in her single-minded quest to eliminate Holly as competition for Tate's affections. Sophia has already proven herself capable of elaborate deception, having lied about giving birth to a baby girl when she actually had a boy, and falsely claiming the child was immediately taken by adoptive parents when she actually abandoned the infant at a fire station safe haven box. Holly remains completely in the dark about Sophia's involvement in the photo scandal, believing herself to be the one responsible for this terrible mistake. This innocent suffering makes the situation even more heartbreaking, as Holly carries crushing guilt for something she never actually did. The heartwarming moment that broke Holly's heart. Adding insult to injury, Holly witnessed a tender and intimate moment between Sophia and Tate at Brady's pub that completely shattered what remained of her fragile emotional state. Seeing the teen mother and the boy she loves sharing what appeared to be a genuine connection was more than Holly could emotionally handle. The image of Tate comforting Sophia and being there for her during this difficult time with the baby made Holly feel completely replaced and unwanted. From Holly's perspective, it seemed clear that Tate had moved on with Sophia and that their relationship was truly over. This heartwarming scene between Tate and Sophia was the final straw that convinced Holly she had no future in Salem anymore. The pain of watching the man she loves with another woman, combined with all the other disasters happening in her life, made the decision to leave town feel like the only option for self-preservation. What Holly didn't fully understand was the complex nature of Tate's relationship with Sophia and the obligation he felt toward the mother of what he believed to be his child. The Paris escape plan. In her desperation to escape the unbearable situation in Salem, Holly reached out to her mother, Nicole Walker, who is currently living in Paris. During a phone conversation, Holly made the dramatic declaration that she was leaving Salem for good and heading to Paris to be with Nicole. Nicole, who has been strangely absent from her daughter's life during these recent crises, represents safety and comfort for Holly in this moment of complete desperation. Paris offers Holly the chance to start completely fresh, away from all the judgment, embarrassment, and heartbreak she's experiencing in Salem. The idea of being in a completely new environment where nobody knows about the dormitory fire or the photo scandal is incredibly appealing to the traumatized young woman. Holly envisions herself attending school at the prestigious Sorbonne, building a new life in the romantic city of Paris, and putting thousands of miles between herself and all her problems. The escape plan feels like the perfect solution to all of Holly's overwhelming troubles, offering her a clean slate and the opportunity to reinvent herself far away from Salem's drama. Ari's promise of secrecy. Holly confided her Paris travel plans to her best friend Ariana Ari Horton, swearing her to absolute secrecy about the situation. Holly specifically made Ari promise not to tell Tate Black about her plans to leave town permanently. This puts Ari in an incredibly difficult and uncomfortable position, torn between loyalty to her best friend and her belief that Tate deserves to know what's happening. Ari understands Holly's pain and respects her need to escape Salem, but she also recognizes that Tate genuinely cares about Holly and would be devastated to lose her without even getting a chance to fight for their relationship. The weight of this secret is heavy on Ari's conscience as she watches events unfold around her. She knows that Holly and Tate have a real connection and that Sophia's manipulation has created false barriers between them. Ari has even tried to intervene by attempting to convince Sophia to leave Holly and Tate alone, knowing how much they want to be together. Now Ari faces a moral dilemma. Does she honor her promise to Holly and keep the secret? Or does she break that promise for what she believes is a good reason, potentially saving Holly and Tate's relationship? Will Ari break her promise? The question on everyone's mind is whether Ari will ultimately break her promise to Holly and reveal the Paris travel plans to Tate. Spoilers suggest that Ari did indeed make this promise for what she considers a very good reason, understanding Holly's desperate need to escape her current situation. However, Ari may ultimately decide that the potential consequences of keeping this secret are too severe, and that Tate absolutely needs to know that the woman he loves is about to leave Salem forever. The spoilers hint strongly that Tate will somehow find out about Holly's travel plans, suggesting that someone will reveal this information to him. Whether it's Ari who tells him directly or whether Tate discovers the truth through some other means remains to be seen. Tate has been desperately trying to talk to Holly, but with her actively avoiding him and packing her bags for Paris, time is running out. If Ari does break her promise and tell Tate about Holly's plans, it will be motivated by her genuine belief that these two belong together and deserve a chance to work through their problems rather than running away from them. Tate's race against time. According to spoilers, Tate will go looking for Holly in what promises to be a desperate race against time to stop her from leaving Salem. Once Tate learns about Holly's Paris plans, he will spring into action immediately, determined to reach her before she boards that plane. Tate will need to move quickly, as Holly is already packing her bags and making final preparations for her departure. The young man has been Holly's rock through many difficult situations, and he previously helped save both Holly and Ari during a dangerous kidnapping ordeal. That rescue mission brought Holly and Tate closer together and strengthened their connection significantly. Now Tate faces a different kind of rescue mission, one where he must save Holly from making a decision she might regret for the rest of her life. The big question is whether Tate will succeed in stopping Holly at the last minute, perhaps catching her at the airport or her home before she leaves for Paris. Will he be able to convince her that Salem is still her home and that their relationship is worth fighting for despite all the obstacles Sophia has created? The dramatic confrontation ahead. If Tate does manage to stop Holly before she leaves, viewers can expect an emotionally charged confrontation between the two young lovers. Tate will need to find the right words to convince Holly that leaving Salem isn't the answer to her problems and that running away won't actually solve anything. He may reveal truths about Sophia's manipulation, though it's unclear how much Tate himself knows about Sophia's schemes at this point. Holly will need to hear that Tate still loves her, and that the moment she witnessed between him and Sophia at Brady's pub wasn't what it appeared to be. Tate's relationship with Sophia has been complicated by the belief that they share a child together, creating an obligation that has nothing to do with romantic feelings. Once the truth about Sophia's lies begins to unravel, as spoilers suggest it will, the dynamics between all these characters will shift dramatically. Sarah Horton is set to confront Sophia after realizing that Tate is not actually the baby's father, which could be the catalyst that finally exposes all of Sophia's deception. This revelation could happen just in time to stop Holly from making the biggest mistake of her life by leaving Salem. The Paris question remains. Even if Tate successfully stops Holly from leaving, the question remains whether this will be a permanent solution or just a temporary delay. Holly may still choose to go to Paris for a brief visit to spend time with her mother Nicole before ultimately deciding to return to Salem. A temporary trip to Paris could actually be beneficial for Holly, giving her some distance and perspective on the situation while allowing her to reconnect with Nicole, who has been strangely absent during her daughter's recent crises. Nicole has always been very close with Holly, making her prolonged silence during these traumatic events somewhat surprising to fans. A mother-daughter reunion in Paris could provide Holly with the emotional support and guidance she desperately needs right now. However, if Tate can convince Holly of his love and commitment, and if Sophia's manipulation is exposed, Holly may decide that her future is in Salem after all, possibly even choosing to stay and attend Salem University despite all the recent embarrassments. The resolution of the storyline will likely depend on how quickly the truth about Sophia's schemes comes to light and whether Holly can forgive herself for mistakes she didn't actually make. What are your thoughts on this dramatic situation? Do you think Ari will break her promise and tell Tate about Holly's Paris plans? Will Tate succeed in stopping Holly before she boards that plane? Or will Holly actually make it to Paris for a reunion with Nicole? How long will it take before someone exposes Sophia's manipulative schemes and clears Holly's name in the photo scandal? Share your predictions and reactions in the comments below.